Welcome to the Fredonia Central School Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. We start every meeting with a pledge to the flag, so if you please join me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So normally we get into the proposed agenda, but we need first to appoint John Forbes tonight as clerk pro tem for tonight's meeting. Could I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks. We have an addendum tonight. It's for a lifeguard. It's under personnel. I think it's B1B. It's currently in consent. We have a proposed agenda for tonight's meeting with a consent agenda that includes personnel but excludes A14 and includes new business but excludes C2. Is there anything that anyone would like to be pulled out of consent tonight? No? Could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Ms. Hahn, a second?
Second.
Ms. Fortnell? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we move right into tonight's first public comment. Basically, the rules are, the board has reserved this time to hear comments from the audience. Those wishing to address the board are asked to stand, give their name and address, and limit their comments to 5 minutes or less per individual group. Concerns and comments during this session should be directly related to items listed on the proposed agenda for this meeting. Is there anybody that would like to speak to the agenda? Okay, and it looks like a fairly quick, you never know, meeting. So we'll have a second public comment at the end that anybody else could speak to. Great. So we have some minutes to approve tonight. First, we have the approval of the minutes of the policy meeting from January 7th, 2025. Could I have a motion to bring this to the table?
So moved.
Mr. Kitty, okay. A second?
Second.
Ms. Hahn, thank you. Any comments or questions on these minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then also we have the approval of minutes of the regular meeting from January 21st, 2025. Could I have a motion for this?
So moved.
Mr. Kinney, a second?
Second.
Ms. Hahn, thank you. Any comments on those minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, we don't have anything to report tonight on business or finance for Mr. Forbes, so we could move right into personnel. And you know, every time this time of year, we have to sadly say farewell to a number of educators that have devoted their careers to teaching and inspiring our students at Fredonia Central School. So it looks like we have to approve the resignations for the purpose of retirement tonight for four members of our school. The first resignation we need to approve is, with regret, is for Elizabeth Merwin, a long-established high school social studies teacher for the purpose of retirement. Could I have a motion to bring this to the table?
So,
Mr. Aldrich, a second?
Second.
Ms. Ford, thank you. Dr. Ziliaks.
Yeah, I will turn it over briefly to Mr. Paschke, but you know, I'm a former social studies teacher, so you know, I usually have some type of connection with our social studies staff, and Beth is no different. From my perspective, Beth has been a steady, consistent, level-headed voice in the high school social studies department, very calm demeanor, very professional, and has really been a cornerstone of the department over this time. I've also, in conversations with Beth, noted her passion for content, her passion for teaching, her passion for what she believes is right, and her passion for putting students first. even to the point of being a little feisty in moments. In a complimentary way, I say this. Certainly, that social studies connection, but also just her service, all the great things she's done for our students, our families, the social studies department, our district, the high school. Really well done. Another heavy hitter that's on their way out the door at the end of this school year. I'll enjoy working with her from now until then, but certainly she will be missed. Mr. Paschke.
I have to echo everything that Dr. Ziliak said. She's been a fantastic family member to the high school and to our kids. On top of all of the accolades that Brad gave her, she's so in tune with our kids. Before really any of us, before COVID, before I think that maybe we were concerned as we needed to be, she was bringing breakfast in for kids and having snacks for kids and recognizing that a lot of our students weren't eating breakfast and going out of her way to ensure that they were getting what they needed. She was instrumental in bringing several AP courses to our school. The social studies department has the most of all of our departments with regard to AP classes. And she's had a real joy of teaching the ninth graders. She did AP US History for a very, very long time, but then brought AP Human Geography, which is a newer ninth grade AP offering, the only AP offering that we have for ninth grade. And she loves her kids. She loves the school. She puts in every minute of every day at home, at school. She's always here. So it's going to be sad to see her go. She is a heavy hitter for our school, and just wish her the best. She's fantastic.
All right. Any comments from the board at all?
We don't get to fill in the A quiz.
You what?
That's a heavy load.
Yeah.
Some child with that.
Yeah, my own children had her, all I heard was good things about her. It's a long-standing teacher here, and be hard to replace her. We thank her in her retirement and thank her for her dedication, commitment to the school. Next, we need to approve with regret. We need to approve that.
Oh.
Yes, thank you. With regret, all in favor?
With regret, yes.
With regret.
And opposed? Next, we need to approve with regret the resignation of Lisa Forbes, one of our fifth grade teachers, for the purpose of retirement. Could I have a motion to bring that to the table? Mr. Aldrich?
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Ziliak?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of, typically in the morning, I'll do what I call the morning lap, and I usually swing by the grade 5 cluster at some point. And again, Lisa brings a lot to the table in terms of her strengths, and really doing a lot for our families, our students, our district, the grade 5 team. She absolutely has that caring, nurturing, very supportive feel to who she is as a person, but also as a professional, as a teacher. I feel like Lisa really takes her students under her wings, and if you happen to be in Mrs. Forbes' class, you're in the club. And she's going to do everything she can to coach you up, make sure you're in a good place, whether that's in the building, out of the building, and is willing to help in any way possible. I also have noticed her passion, particularly for reading. I feel like every time I go by, there's some reading going on. And it's also nice that she would always incorporate some fun and some humor into her classroom. Had a few snowball fights with Mrs. Forbes students, and she wasn't afraid to poke a little fun at me occasionally, which was all in good fun, so I appreciated that. Again, key contributor to grade 5, and I really felt like she always had her eye on the whole child, and really thought more broadly about the students beyond just them as a learner. I talked to Jamie Paul Hamus today, who was sad that she couldn't be here tonight, but mom duties called for Jamie tonight, and I do have some comments I'm going to read as soon as I find them on my computer. So if there's anybody else who'd like to share any thoughts real quick, you can do that.
I must say I really appreciate your retirement letter. Very, very thorough and interesting.
Well, I consulted with John, And he said people write 2 sentences, or they write more than that. He said that he plans on writing a few pages. And he's not a talker, so I thought if he has a few pages in him, then I wanted to say, you know, what I wanted to say as well, so, thank you.
Oh, it's a nice chronology of your
Thank you.
career here, and it was appreciated because we got to learn a little bit about all that you did. Any words that you'd like to say apart from what you've said already, or?
I have absolutely cherished my time here at Fredonia. Being a career person in 5th grade has been a delight and an honor for me, and so grateful also that I get to sit here with Mary tonight, because this was her a year ago retiring, but we're very grateful. There's a lot of people who aren't expecting this. I have been in the system for a lot longer than people thought that I was, because I substituted, so I just recently got my prior credit approved. And so a week ago, I sat in John's office as I was waiting for Dr. Zeliak to come out, and I said, hey, they just approved it, they just got my letter. And he made me call the state anyway, just because he said, you know, we're gonna call anyway. And so Dustin and the supervisor said, wow, just about to the day, you have your 30 years and you're turning 55, so this is magic for you. So I have some people that are expanding their families that I love very dearly, that I'm looking forward to spending time with some little ones in that capacity. And I've already offered myself for that.
That's fantastic. So there's something beyond this. Yeah. Any other comments from the board?
Yeah, I will say that the excitement on my second daughter's face when she came home at the end of 4th grade saying, I've got the popcorn ready. That was such an excitement. And you know, that meant something to me, and you've continued that with the Learn to Serve. And it's focusing on serving other people. And I truly appreciate that, getting students not thinking about themselves, but thinking about others. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Paul Hamus shares, Mrs. Forbes is one of the most kind, caring, compassionate person I've ever known. She develops strong relationships with her students and their families, and serves as a trusted adult here at the school that so many of our kids rely on. She provides a safe, supportive environment with her classroom that students appreciate and thrive in. Mrs. Forbes is thoughtful and genuinely cares for the academic and social emotional well-being of her students, as well as their overall growth. Mrs. Ford has been a true asset to our building, and she will be greatly missed.
Thank you.
Pretty good summary.
Yeah. So regretfully, we have to approve it. All in favor?
With regret.
Thank you. Thank you for your dedication and commitment to the school. And, but you don't mind if we keep him a little longer?
We do mind, actually. But he fights us on it every single day.
I retired first when I was home, and my wife kept working, so I understand. So we'll move on. Our third retirement is a tough one for me. Resignation of Darren Paschke with regret for the purpose of retirement. Mr. Paschke, as we all know, has been a fixture at this school with mathematics, and then lately with finishing his career as principal of the high school. Could I have a motion to bring this to the table?
So moved.
Ms. Hahn, a second? Mr. Kenny. Dr. Ziliak, I imagine there's a few comments here.
Oh yeah, a few. You know, when I came to Fredonia, a little over 4 years ago, and I didn't really know anybody. And although I grew up in Jamestown, back when I lived in Jamestown, there was no social media, no travel teams. You might as well lived a couple hours away. I really didn't know anybody Fredonia. And one of the things I enjoy, again, connecting to the social studies history part of my background, is just getting to know people who are a big part of a community. And I'm not sure anybody is more Fredonia than Darren Paschke. Student here at Fredonia Schools, graduate, obviously. Student and graduate from SUNY Fredonia. I believe you student taught here as well, correct? Obviously, as Mr. Johnson said, longtime math department teacher here at Fredonia Schools, then transitioned to admin, was a union president of FTA and with his administrative group, which is not always necessarily a coveted position. I think Darren has lived in the community his entire life. married a graduate, parents still live in the community. So just multiple layers of Darren Paschke in the school community. Some of the things that we share in common, sort of in our philosophy, is just the idea of being visible, being present, being where our students are, being approachable, really thinking about how you can be involved in a school district and involved with faculty and staff and with students. Certainly Darren has a student-first attitude and absolutely has gone above and beyond to support our faculty and staff. All those things are in the mix. This district is extremely thankful, proud, and grateful for everything that you've done across the board, and you know that it's very much appreciated and you will very much be missed. However, we got a few months here to enjoy the tail end of the career of Darren, so you know, definitely bittersweet. Other comments?
Again, Darren, my daughters truly appreciated your math. You as a math teacher and as a principal. But I only have one question, and that is, how can you retire when you don't have any gray hair?
Crazy. I don't think, if you saw me here, I don't think it's the last board meeting or 2 board meetings ago, I let my beard grow out a little bit, and it was very gray.
Blonde.
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 This is a sad one for me when I saw it on the agenda today, and I was just thinking, like, when I think of Mr. Paschke, what words come to mind, and it's hardworking, innovative. He, you know, you could just kind of glide to retirement, but he's implementing the cell phone change and the schedule change, and he's working right, you know, right through. And then flexibility, he shows so much flexibility, love for the students, fair-minded. He's someone who's open-minded. He inspires confidence, and maybe overall just someone of great warmth. So thank you. It's been an honor to know you.
Yeah, you know, I think you wrote the definition for fixture in school. But dedication, passion, the hours you put in. I know the hours you put in way beyond what, you know, a normal person would put in. So, you know, thank you for all you did.
You'll get the bill. I'm keeping track.
You are keeping track. So yeah, thank you for all you've done to the school. I got my kids through, especially my older son. And you know, we thank you for your commitment and dedication. But as Dr. Zolak said, you're still here for a few more months, so we're looking forward to seeing you. So, all in favor? With regret?
With regret.
Thank you. Our last was
Anything you wanted to say, Jim?
I don't know, it's kind of hard to speak. It's been really good. You know, when Brad got here, one of the first things that I did with Brad was I got this weird phone call, and he's like, "Hey man, like I have this U-Haul, and I just moved into my place, and like I have to go drop it off, but I don't have anybody to take me back home." And he's like, "I happen to have your phone number, so could you do that for me?" And so it was like kind of my first meeting with Brad, was like driving out to the country to drop off this. And it was kind of out a little ways into, I was up near the Dunkirk Airport, I think is almost wherever it was. But it was good. It's been an honor. I mean, there's so much to it, and you know, a lot of emotion. It's a challenge to think that I won't be here next year, and it's been my life and an honor. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Our last resignation that we need to approve with regret is the resignation of Randy Penharlow, who is performed outstanding service to the school as a mechanic and groundskeeper for the purpose of retirement. Can I have a motion to bring this to the table?
So moved.
Mr. Aldrich, a second.
Second.
Ms. Fuller, thank you. Dr. Ziliaks.
Yeah, I will make a few comments and actually turn it over to Mr. Forbes, who oversees the department. Anyone else can certainly chime in, but, you know, Randy is one of those guys that the knowledge base and the experience and him knowing about our systems, about different pieces of equipment, about different areas of the building, about which rooms are hot, which rooms are cold. Whatever the questions are, there is almost all the time an immediate answer or an answer shortly. And, you know, he gets a lot of random questions as he walks around the building. It can, you know, be from A to Z. So just his knowledge base and his overall demeanor of, you know, never getting too riled up and just very coolly and calmly solving problems as they come up. Certainly Randy's a hard worker and gets things done. And, you know, he's also one of those people who, you know, is being part of the snow removal. Some of that is very early mornings. And it wasn't unusual to also see him working some overtime mowing here after hours or on the weekends. You know, he's a good team player, whether that was with John or Dave Winchell or with Young and Wright on their recent capital project. Always willing to be part of a conversation, always willing to give us some information that led us to good solutions, answers, or resolutions. So, Mr. Forbes.
Yeah, this one's going to certainly leave a big hole in our custodial maintenance department. As Dr. Ziliaks alluded to, Randy is certainly very dedicated and could be here early plowing snow, mowing lawn on the weekends, all those kinds of things. We learned a long time ago that our relationship was going to be, he would bring something forward and I would ask the 4 questions or 5 questions, so he now knows over time to bring those 4 or 5 answers forward. And consequently, I've told him throughout the years that a lot of what the maintenance department does, I know how to do. So don't come in and try to tell me that it's not going to work or I can't do it, because I kind of have a pretty good knowledge of what it may or may not be. So we get along well. He's very dependable, and certainly anytime I call him at any time of day, he's very willing to respond. I did finally get to plow snow. For all these years, I've told him, I'll help mow the lawn, I'll help plow the snow, and I don't know if it's this party gift to me, but I did get to plow snow one day, so I got to do that. But yes, certainly Randy will be greatly missed in the department and a big look to fill.
Great. Any comments from the board? Yeah.
I would like to say that we have heard about Randy from Young and Wright. He is one of the major reasons that this place is in as good repair as it is. They say he does an amazing job of keeping things going. And as a groundskeeper, I think everyone appreciates just the snow plowing. It's amazing. I think he does a meticulous job and will be missed.
Yeah, I think we've heard that he's the heart and soul of the inner workings of the building, and we desperately need him to pass on his knowledge before he retires.
And that's the difficulty. There's so
Yeah.
much to know.
Exactly. Yeah. All in favor with regret?
With regret.
So we wish him well in his retirement and for his dedication, commitment to the district over the years. Now, on to new business. The only item under new business tonight is to approve the second reading of policy 7220, which is an equal education opportunities policy. Could I have a motion to bring that to the table?
So moved.
Ms. Fortner, a second?
Second.
Ms. Hahn, thank you. Dr. Ziliaks, anything on this policy, or?
Yeah, just to remind people, so the board has a couple different committees. One of them is policy. We work with our Area 1 policy service. They give us revisions that we review and then decide whether we make those adjustments in our policy book or not. A couple meetings ago, the equal educational opportunities policy was on the agenda as a first read. That gives the larger board a chance to review it. This is some very minor language tweaking in this policy. It's not a dramatic shift or anything like that, but it does update the language to be current to the conversations that are happening in this day and age, and also instead of targeting a couple groups, really just talks about everybody having access, everybody being allowed to participate and be part of what's happening in our schools, and that's really the spirit of this policy. So minor tweaks, but nonetheless, some important language that we want to make sure accurately represents our philosophy as a district.
Great, thank you. Any comments, questions on the policy? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Well, that leads us, and as I tried to guarantee, we're moving pretty quick. That leads us to our second round of public comment tonight. So is there anybody who would like to address the board tonight? Thank you. Good. Microphone and state your name and address, please.
Okay. So, you can hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me, Becca. Mary Days, 4422 Osborne Road. I am here to respond to comments that were made about a month ago in your January, I think, 7th Board of Education meeting related to the capital project, particularly those directed at a new ranch. And it was disappointing, to say the least, that they were made without any notice or representation to defend ourselves. I want to make it known that I am not financially tied to this new ranch, but I do coordinate a lot of activities and volunteer there. So if I use the phrase "we," it's in that light. Some of the comments were made, this particular board member's not here this evening, but said, I don't understand, and some things. And so one thing that we found that we didn't understand in those comments were a phrase that was said, can't understand why a community member came and said he had purchased and there is a dollar figure associated with that. He never said that, the colonel, but people have looked it up. Couldn't afford $100 extra a month, and if he had known that, business here, and then that board member had said, imagine that. Well, what I want to say with that is what you understand is if you use common sense, I don't personally know anybody who's purchased a home. I purchased a home. Usually what they've done is they've made financial agreements with a banking or a financial institution, right? So that was the same here. It wasn't purchased. They were not, one of the two people, one is one of my sons, but they did not have any generational wealth, very common people. No generational wealth, did not have a wagon load of that amount of money, but what they did come with was a dream and some faith and a work ethic of common people who try to make something do here, which it is a significant investment, we're not saying that. But you can look up a first lieutenant Marine salary, and you'll see that most of you probably make many times over. So that's something we didn't really understand where that was coming from. So $100 more. With that comes a lot of equipment purchase. There's a lot of things that you have planned and not planned. So no, can't afford it. And then another comment that was made, that most community can't understand this property, most of the community wouldn't understand that either. And we found that curious because a comment was made, I believe by the same person. I don't know where to go out. We need to speak to residents and listen, but I don't think we have that luxury. So that would indicate right there, I don't know who this member spoke to, but it really, could not have been of the whole community. And so I had, the colonel had sent you, board members, a radio program that was interviewed that I asked you to listen to, and you would know where this business was coming from. Again, very, very, very common people just trying to, to do something there. So that was disappointing that we heard that. Certainly as a board, you should all question each other and have diverse opinions. No one should be rubber stamping. So I don't have issue with one board member jumping on another to say, you have to be more business friendly, you have to be more business friendly. And somehow that's at odds with putting students first. It's not. Okay, you have to have a healthy business community because they'll create a bigger tax base for you. So I don't know what big tax base, that we've created, but you have to have business if you're gonna have, you know, a tax base to meet, you know, the needs that you have. So that would be personally. But taxpayers in general, I don't mean this to be adversarial, but you're not gonna create people wanting to help when comments were made such as willful ignorance, people with different opinions, ill-informed, disingenuous information. There was the jumping on the one board member, but that's okay. I mean, you can all have different opinions. Ill-informed, purposely ill-informed, community doesn't seem to prioritize with the students, people don't have Fredonia pride. I mean, this was all, you know, for people that voted a different way, and they did vote pretty strongly. So that was, you're just not gonna get, you're not gonna get people on board with you with those comments. One, I think it was the president, said you deal with facts. That's fine, opinions, you deal with facts. I'd like you to think about, just because, don't assume a fact, don't assume that all people that work here, employees, and live in Fredonia, don't assume they voted yes. Because the fact is, I haven't been out of the district that long, I run into people. There's a significant amount of the own employees that voted no, okay? For whatever reason, maybe they didn't think it was needed, maybe they just want to hang on to their income. You know, they're afraid of down the road, if you choose to live here, what the taxes will be. So I mean, that is a fact. I mean, if you got out in the community, there were people like, oh, they were really afraid of this. That's a fact. You know, elderly people, I certainly saw a lot when I went in to vote. Now, I didn't hear it this time. I hesitate to bring it up a little bit, but I certainly heard it when I was working here about, oh, the old people, they're coming in, you know, let's keep the old, okay, because most likely on their fixed incomes, they're gonna vote no. But let's be respectful of the people that have lived for a long time. They pay our salaries, they pay the salaries, okay? And anybody certainly has Fredonia pride if they choose to live here. They choose to live here and have already paid, you know, a hefty amount of taxes and continue to do so. I guess what maybe wanna close is, somebody had commented we've been fiscally responsible. I know Mr. Forbes is fiscally responsible. He'll hold the line on things, I know. He's really good that way. The board, I know, should not micromanage what's the expenses within the district, but you might do a more line-by-line item of some of the things that could be cost-saving. For instance, when taxpayers, we put, you know, all our money goes into a pot, okay? But if you were to ask taxpayers what they thought, yeah, that's legitimate, I could see paying for that. What would you get? Reasonable people would pay for the utilities, teacher salaries, the maintenance, the food services, custodial, those are all things that you need. But you might look at where some of the things are, some of the spent. Professional development might be one that you'd go for. I taught for 40 years, so many things would come and go, and at the end they'd go so quick, you say, wait, weren't we gonna do something with that? Just look at some of the things that you could be saving money. Now, I understand this is about the third year that you had an amount of staff go to Arizona for a conference, okay? Now, in this day and age of teleconferencing and everything on the internet, no one needs to go to Arizona. And what the taxpayers would not like, now, by the way, that ranch, their school taxes are approaching $12,000. This, whatever that was, I'm sure it was well over that amount, 12,000. They can go, you don't need to go to Arizona. And taxpayers know, conveniently, it's usually in the weather when we're shoveling snow and slipping on ice here. While people are in Arizona, probably enjoying the poolside and golf, maybe bringing their spouses, taxpayers aren't going to want to go for that. If you're going to go to any conference, go in New York State. Keep the money in the New York State economy. That kind of thing. It's just taxpayers. You need to look at that. Now, I know that there's some teachers retiring. Last year I submitted a letter that suggested some things. When a teacher retires, it's a financial gift to the district. Okay? So, look at your enrollment. Look at your enrollment. I had suggested don't replace me. So you have 16 students, maybe you'll take on 20. When I started my career, I commonly had 28. One year I had 23 and I had to whisper it. I hope my colleagues don't find out I only had 23. What is that? And then what happens is there's a teacher, when your enrollment is in jeopardy, there's a teacher on the other end who doesn't lose his or her job. Okay? You're not cutting anybody's job, you're not cutting anybody's salary, but that is a way that you can say, look at the enrollment. Well, people like small class sizes, but 12, 14, 16, people can handle 20. You need to look at that. At the very least, put my benefits at the top salary in the fund balance for something that you need later. So there's probably some other things in my notes here, but I did look at that meeting, and again, it doesn't mean to be adversarial, but those kind of comments, you're not going to have taxpayers on board with you. They're just, was too judgmental, and people decide what they want to do with their money. You need to be wise with other people's money. And you do have people's attention. I saw an article, an opinion piece in the paper, I think it was over the weekend. People are looking at the May budget. Is the board going to have some kind of retribution for, well, you voted this down, so now this? So people are reasonable, but they can't, I mean, the things that I said. Those are things that you can do, and it's not against students or anything. There's a fine education here, many people got a fine education, but some of the things you think you need, you don't. So that's all I have to say right now. See you in 2 weeks, maybe.
All right, thank you, Ms. Nace, thank you for your comments. Anybody else want to speak tonight? So next on the agenda is tonight's superintendent's report, Dr. Zadax.
Yeah, a few things, as, we've talked about the last couple of meetings, we did have our capital project vote, and again, as I mentioned on that night, Proposition 1 passed. That's about $22 million worth of work. We're excited about that work. We're grateful for that work being approved. That falls more in the maintenance, more safe and dry category, roofs, mechanical systems, electrical, plumbing, those types of things, which are incredibly important. And one of the things we did prior to our meeting tonight is our facilities committee met with representatives from Young and Wright, also Buffalo Construction, also Municipal Solutions, on the financial side of things, and are first of all looking at how do we move forward with that Proposition 1 work. We're looking at 2 phases of construction, so we'd be able to see some benefits of that approval sooner rather than later. We're excited about moving forward, and we're really trying to nail down exactly what that work schedule will look like, and when our bid process will be, and when we will eventually break ground and actually start construction. So those conversations are happening. We're also very pleased with our history of outlay projects. Again, these are $100,000 projects that are done each year, and we can receive the same aid that we would on a capital project, roughly 82–83% back to the district ultimately. We're just finishing up a project where we did some paving at Wheelock, which looks fantastic, and some flooring inside the building, which also looks very nice. A vinyl product, which I think for your aged students is probably helpful, right? And the the outlay project we're looking at and working on for this coming spring into the summer is increased accessibility to our playground here on the main campus. We're looking at a few pieces of equipment. We're looking at different surfaces that will create pathways for easy access to different areas of that playground. Also with a little bit of work in the building, but we're excited about that as well. During that meeting, we also talked a little bit about, there's some needs in music that aren't going to be met as a result of the capital project. So what are the alternatives? What are some other things that we might be able to do to make sure that we can meet the needs of our students, meet the needs of the program with increasing enrollment, which we're very excited about, and that's a great sign and a credit to our families, our students, and our music department. So we are looking at those options. We are also looking at our athletic fields and thinking about what is possible within the fields that we have available right now. What does that look like for our baseball fields, softball fields, soccer fields? Does that include the Orange Bowl or not? Would that field potentially be somewhere else on our campuses? All those discussions are happening. We're decisions are being made right at the moment. And we don't foresee us going back out with a capital project anytime soon, but looking at other ways in which we can make some improvements to address some of those safety concerns that have been brought to the board over the last few years, really. So just wanted to update you that those conversations are happening. We're trying to be thoughtful. We're trying to tap into those people with expertise, like our architect, like Buffalo Construction, like Municipal Solutions, who really works with schools about how can we finance this kind of work. And we're excited to figure out what these next steps are and eventually share that with our school community. We are certainly going to be looking to engage our music department in those conversations, some of our physical education and coaches in those conversations. So this won't be done in isolation, but right now we're doing a little bit of the pre-work in-house to really think about, what are the parameters and what are the potential options. You might have also noticed there was an article in the Observer, I believe this weekend, about the comptroller in New York State designating Fredonia as a school susceptible to fiscal stress. We missed some communication with the comptroller prior to that article, so we got that ironed out. Mr. Forbes and I talked with the comptroller's office, and the reasons we were designated in those terms, which is, there's no designation, and the next designation up is susceptible to financial stress. So we're just on the lower level of this, but the reasons for that are things that we already know. We recognize that our fund balance, which was up around a little over 10% at one point, has fairly rapidly decreased to that 4%, which is where the comptroller would like us to be, or like school districts to be. And that caught their attention. And also that for the last 2 years, we have spent very close to the entire amount of the budgeted amount from our taxpayers that was approved. And a lot of times school districts do have some savings there and a little bit of money left over that they can begin to do some other things with, or just have some money in the reserves, or just have money as part of the larger fund balance. So this isn't news to us. We are aware of that. And in talking to the comptroller, the message was like, hey, from their point of view, they have an obligation to monitor school districts and offer suggestions, thoughts, and in this case, a small warning that if those trends were to continue over a long period of time, that would be problematic. We don't anticipate those trends continuing like they have in the past. Certainly coming out of the pandemic and the needs of the students, we did add a variety of positions, from social workers to E&L teachers to speech. And we made a decision to bring people into the district who could help support our students as a result of the pandemic. So I don't want anyone to feel like this is a crisis, but it is noted here in the district that we're aware of this, and we're certainly going to work to make sure that this doesn't go any further into a different category. And like Ms. Days mentioned, Mr. Forbes, who tends to be conservative and thoughtful with our district's money, and we've appreciated him getting us to this point in good shape. I also just want to mention, last week we did have a Board of Education retreat. The purpose of that retreat was to talk about how we can be efficient in our processes, how we can put together operating procedures to really make us work as efficiently, as smoothly as possible as a board, and also a superintendent, business official, chief officer for curriculum and instruction. Kate was there as our district clerk. How can we all work together as smoothly as possible? And committing some things to writing in terms of standard operating procedures, I think is a good start. And we're feeling good about the beginning of that process, and eventually you'll see things come forward here in our Board of Education meeting. I don't know if Mr. Johnston, you want to say anything else?
No, it's a work in progress. It's a start. not only is it going to be helpful for us, it gives us some ground rules, keep inside the tracks, basically. Always remind ourselves of what our procedures are as a board, but also it's great for onboarding. A new board member coming in will see how we operate. But it's also great, it's a legacy to the future boards, because we volunteer here for a period of time, but then we move on. And there's board turnover, so it gives them an idea of how we operated, and of course it can be edited at any time, amended, and even we ourselves we've already adopted some operating procedures, but maybe next year we'll say, hey, we want to tweak this, we want to tweak that. So it's a great start. It's very, very helpful and beneficial, and as Dr. Ziliak said, it will make us much more efficient and give us some guidelines. Is that it, Dr. Ziliak, for your superintendent's report, or?
I just have a couple more pieces. One is, we have Sam and Ann as our student Board of Education representatives. They are working on a survey to go out to the student body, trying to gauge how this first semester has gone, things that have gone well, maybe some areas where we can improve, things they've enjoyed about the start of school, activities and different things that may be added to the experience, and really just trying to bring back some student voice to the Board of Education. I appreciate both the work of Sam and Anna on this survey. I'm hoping that we can get this out later this week, and we would have some information for you on February 18th, which is our next board meeting. Lastly, I just want to say, things change. Administrations, policymakers, people in different positions, both on a national level and a local level. Despite all those potential adjustments, I think there's a few things in any school, and particularly our school, our district, that remain the same. No doubt we are going to ensure that everybody can attend school and everybody has access to education. We are absolutely going to make sure that we're supporting our students and families across the district. At times, we're going to make sure that we're protecting our students and our families across the district. We pride ourselves on creating a welcoming environment in our school, and we create a feeling of belonging here in our school, and I think that's common in the area in our other local school districts as well. This will continue to be part of what we do regardless of those changes that occur around us. At the same time, we will always be respectful of policymakers or people in positions that have the ability or at least the idea of proposing some type of change. So by no means are we going on any type of rogue mission where we're not going to pay attention to what's happening and be respectful of that. But at the end of the day, we are student-centered, and we will continue to be student-centered in the work that we do across the district. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. I appreciate people reaching out to me with concerns, whether they were just general or about their family in particular. And please know our school district is here to serve our students and our families and make sure everybody's in a good place. So that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Any comments on the superintendent's report? Nope. All right, well, our next Board of Education meeting will be on Tuesday, February 18th at 6 p.m. here in the high school library. Back to the board, any other additional comments? I would like to say that myself, I'm looking forward to hearing the students' voices through Sam and Ann, and really excited about that. Because we're adults and we want to hear what's going on in the school from the students' perspective, so thank you for that. But any other additional comments from the board tonight?
If I could ask Mr. Forbes, at the last meeting I asked about the tax cap. Do you have any updates on that?
Well, there's a couple pieces to the formula that are a little bit unusual, and that deals with the debt service that we're going to be adding for this project. So right now, we're projecting it to be about 4%.
Really?
But within that, you have to also pick up the portion of the project, which is 1.9%.
Okay. And anything as far as the state run funds from increases of funds from the state from last year?
Yeah, in the categorical aids, transportation, we expected that to be up based upon the increase in the first student contract. We also expected our BOCES services to be up based upon the students that we had there, and they were. So that's just essentially paying for what you paid for already. Foundation aid, we're up a little over 6%
Really?
in the first run. And generally speaking, knock on wood, the governor's proposal is not as good as the legislative proposal. So hopefully that bodes well for us as we move forward.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I did have a question for Mr. Forbes as well. I know I've spoke to Dr. Ziliaks with the ongoing issues as far as the school bus runs and so forth. One question that crossed my mind today was yet again a issue with Fredonia Water. Is there any way you can get a guesstimate per day what it's costing the school when Fredonia's having issues with their water, having to have called in and so forth coming in?
Very easily.
Okay.
I would say off the top of my head, from last time, which was a multiple day event, we were somewhere in the $800 to $1,000 range in water.
Okay.
But yes, certainly can update that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other comments? All right, let's go around the table of administrators, Mr. Paschke.
Well, we just finished up the second quarter. We're happy to be into the third quarter, starting our second semester. Midterms and readings exams went well. Today and Thursday, we have students working with Mrs. Moon, creating valentines for people in the public who might like to have a valentine. I believe it's a couple of groups that they're going to be delivering valentines to. So I stopped by the room today after school, and I assumed there'd be a few people there, and it was packed. Like, the kids were lined up in there, they were crammed in there, and they were making valentines for people who need them. So it was really heartwarming to see the kids in there taking their time to do this for the community. What else have we got coming up? We found out today that once again, our Spectator newspaper has won the New York State Press Association's best high school newspaper, which is just incredible. You know, I had to double check, like, we're not the only school that submits to this, right? So there are hundreds of schools across the state that submit, and it appears that this is not just a win, but this is like a landslide win this time. So we have so many kids in so many categories that just dominated. It's exciting, it's an honor. So we're looking, I think the ceremony, the award ceremony will be at the end of March this year. Thanks to Mrs. Reinhardt and Mrs. Sedota, who run the paper, with all of our fantastic kids. I don't even know if our kids have heard about it yet, but congratulations to all of them. And we're looking forward to receiving another fantastic award.
Oh, that's fantastic news.
Yeah, thank you.
How many years?
So I think there was a hiatus of 1 year. I think we came in second 1 year, like in the midst of it. But I think this is the 8th or 9th time it's happened. Like, after not getting it for years and years and years and years of submitting, then all of a sudden this domination of, I think 8 years.
Yeah, because usually in programs there's a little dip, right?
Yeah.
And then they come back, you hope they come back, but this is sustained across the board. It's
just fantastic work by our kids, just all of it, the photography, the writing, the reading, just the high quality work that's there is amazing. And I think that our school has supported a huge change from when it used to be like a black and white newspaper to a really upgraded high quality color document, and also having it online is amazing. So I think that the school has supported it and the kids have run with it. So it's fantastic. Thanks.
Great. Kudos to the students and the advisors.
Yep.
Mr. Drollinger.
Just one quick update. There were a couple schools in the county that were awarded a grant for something called the PAX Good Behavior Game. And Amy and I were able to connect last week, Thursday, and we're excited to bring it to Fredonia. What it is it's just like a way that our teachers will be trained in like practical strategies to manage student behavior. Like simple things that they can do in the classroom and to highlight the positive. But the grant that a couple local schools got also includes some coaching sessions. So there's like an accountability piece. So our teachers will be trained, and then coaches will come in once a month to assist the teachers in these strategies with the kids. We also get some materials, And some other things include like calm down things like sound machines, little light machines, fidget spinners and things like that. And that was, the calm down materials was the tune of $10,000 worth of, just given to this district, part of this grant. So it was kind of cool. But I'm excited because it's gonna align WheeLock in the elementary school with just a consistent practice for encouraging good behavior. And our teachers will be introduced to that on March 7th. There's a PD day. Tracy from the Prevention Works is going to come in for just 40 minutes, talk to our teachers. There will be some optional trainings, and then we're going to work to get everybody trained before the fall. So it's kind of exciting for our district. It's good.
And this is a new grant? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a countywide grant. A couple schools got it. Dunkirk got it. I think it was Brockton or something like that got it too. But we just got notified that it was extended and Verona was included. But I was just happy to hear that we have the opportunity to get the materials and stuff. So it's
Always thankful to people that write grants.
Yeah, I guess.
It's a lot of work,
Yeah.
It pays off, so.
Yeah,
Thank
some more
you.
to come. It's
Anything
exciting.
else, or?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, great. Ms. Piper, welcome back.
Thank you, it's good to be back. Thank you. I want to express thank you to the board for supporting me on my medical leave, and I have to put big kudos out to Maria DeJoy, Todd Crandall, and Ivana Height, as well as Lena Pelletier, who did the CPSE meetings, because I walked in and it was like I had never left. I took care of business, everything was set, good to go, kids were happy, teachers were happy, so they did a phenomenal job while I was absent, so kudos to them.
Yeah.
To support Mark, I agree, we've tried to get the PAX behavior game for years and it was just too expensive. It was something we could never even look at or touch with a 10-foot pole, so to be able to get it and try it free of charge is really a huge coup for the district, so good work. And I have to give Mr. Drollinger credit because he did it, so good job, Mark. Good job. So Dr. Ziliak asked me to talk a little bit about some of the assessments that have been happening at WheeLock, and I've spoken about this before. WheeLock uses the Fast Bridge assessments. We assess our students more of like a screening, a benchmark, in the fall, in the winter, and the spring for early literacy skills as well as early numeracy skills. We take a look at that right about this time of year. Donna Hill is just finishing off the Fast Bridge assessments for the winter, and we'll take a look to see the growth that the students are doing. She also monitors weekly the students that were not at the average range from the time of the fall to the winter, and again from the winter to spring. So Donna and I actually have a meeting set up on Friday to take a look at the winter data to make sure that we're making good growth, and she's been doing her Donna Hill happy dance down the hallway because she's excited about how well our kindergartners are doing. We include in that the social emotional behavior learning the teachers fill out for every student in their classroom, again to assess how they're doing fall to winter and spring and look at their growth in those areas so we can address it in the classroom. The third level of that we do is actually what we call the Dr. Strong. Dr. Strong was a literacy specialist that came to our district, I want to say about 8 years ago, and Dr. Strong is nationally renowned, known for her science of reading background, letters training, for those of you that are familiar with that, but her knowledge of basically the National Reading Panel and all of its work and research behind that. So Dr. Strong had come out and worked with our elementary teachers, like I said, about 8 years ago. So the kindergarten team worked specifically with her for several years and developed this Dr. Strong assessment that's aligned to the kindergarten skills, the kindergarten New York State standards, but also the science of reading. And so they've also been giving this assessment to their students. They do it in the fall, they do it in the winter and the spring. It's authentic because it's one-on-one with the child, so the child actually has to demonstrate that they know the skills, they have the skills, they can't just guess. They have to show that they have it in order to be able to move on, and it is impossible for them to learn to read without these foundational skills. So they're in the midst of doing all these assessments right now. The classroom teachers do the Dr. Strong as Donna Hill does the Fast Bridge assessment. So we're in the midst of frenzy. The nice thing about that is because it's one-on-one, the students, they're 4 and 5 and 6 years old, it's fun to them. They're getting the one-on-one attention, they're interacting, they're getting immediate feedback from an adult that they love and want their respect, and so it works out really well. We feel like we get really authentic, great results. So all of that's happening right now. UPK does something similar. Obviously in pre-K we're not going to do a lot of assessments, so it's a lot of observational assessments. We work with parents. Parents do a checklist on letting us know maybe some of their concerns, more social, emotionally, behaviorally at the pre-K level, how they're doing, and then we do this again in the spring to see the growth that they made, and we take a look to make sure that we're helping families get the support and the resources and their needs met. So, and it really works out well with MTSS, and I know that Dr. Ruth and I have talked to you about MTSS many, many times, because if a child at that age needs a referral to the Committee for Preschool Special Education, it's nice because I'm there, I will get that referral. I know the kids, we can talk about providing that service, so we can close the gap when those kids are 4 and 5 years old, so they won't hopefully need special ed services as a school-age student, because the gap's a lot easier to close when they're young than it is if we wait until they get into middle elementary or the middle school. So a lot happened at WELAC, but there's a lot of buzz going on around. And tomorrow is one, if not the most favorite day at WELAC. It is the Global School Day of Play. So we play all day long, from the minute the kids get to school till the time that they leave. They go outside most of the day, hopefully the weather cooperates. They're inside. We really do not do any electronics. It's all just imaginative, creative play. It's just a really fun day. So if anybody's around and wants to come to WELAC and play tomorrow, it's lots of fun.
Sounds like a great day.
It's a great day.
Yeah.
Dylan will have a great day.
Yeah. Yeah, in all my years of being on the board, I've never heard more this year about data from all sectors of the school. It's great. You know, we're looking forward to seeing the data, whatever the data shows, that allows us to improve from there. So thank you. Having those veterans come out of retirement, principals, superintendents that take their place, it's awesome. Ms. Farrell.
Nothing quite as exciting as all that. I don't know, I've just been busy working with my team to examine the continuum of services, with really a goal of making sure that we have appropriate and right-sized services for our special ed students that we're projecting in terms of the 25-26 school year. So it's really taking up, a lot of my time right now. That's kind of the focus. And just a quick comment in regards to the 4 retirements tonight. These 4 folks are some of the best people I've had the honor to work with. I think I speak for all of us. And they are community builders and trailblazers, and we have definitely benefited from their dedication. So just wanted to make a comment.
Thank you, Ms. Farrell. Mr. Forbes, anything? Okay, Ms. Wright.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to speak actually about the comments regarding the Arizona conference and professional development, and I appreciate the chance to clarify that and make sure there is a clear understanding. So one of the things that we're fortunate is with our Every Student Succeeds Act funding, there's Title 1, 2, 3, 4. And Title 4 specifically is for professional development, to use for professional development. That is not something that comes from the general fund or the taxpayer fund. And specifically the Arizona conference would be the WASED conference. That's a STEM conference, and that is something that, again, student-focused is our whole reason for doing everything. So the first year that we attended was a scholarship from WASED. It cost the district, it cost us nothing for PD, even from our Title IV funding, which was really exciting. And from that, we paired and got to go up to Lockport and the area districts because they presented at the conference all the work they've been doing. We also got to meet districts from around the nation. But from that turned into a proposal that the board supported to hire a dedicated STEM teacher in the elementary school. That was a direct result of attending that conference. And from there, we built what was known as a pathway, and actually a pathway at the elementary and at the middle school. So the second year we attended the conference, every single one of us was on a scholarship from the WASED committee. And we were honored and presented to the other schools in attendance, earning pathway status. And it was very exciting. So that, again, cost nothing from both our Title IV funding or to the general taxpayers. From there, we've been building STEM teams. We've been using professional development days, that were the in-service days, I should say, the half-day PD to meet and continue having those conversations. One of the things we did was continue to go and visit Lockport, and from there, we this year have our in full operation. It's so exciting, our student help desk, and that's at the high school. And all of that came from attending and talking and meeting with other districts. So we have high school students who choose to be part of our student help desk. They come, they troubleshoot. The adult staff members or students in the school go to the IT office and bring their devices, or the students will go to the classrooms and they'll help troubleshoot and do things. It's a great resume builder for them. From that, kudos to Andy Wheelock, again, grant writing. He applied to a Dell grant, and now we have grants that will be given to our school and for our students with specific training that also comes with a lot of other good stuff for the kiddos. So that is something that all came directly from there. From this year, our attendance at the WASED conference, we had 2 teachers from our district, Amanda Pakinowski and Margaret Gray, as co-presenters. They did a proposal, it was accepted, so they actually presented to all the conference attendees at the WASED conference, which only can be held, it's only held in Arizona, and it's in person only. There's not an option for attending online. So they presented, and when you're a presenter, it's a scholarship. There was also 2 other scholarships because Mrs. Troutman was honored at that conference for her work in STEM. And so 2 designees of the district, Mrs. Paul Hames being one of them, was there while Mrs. Troutman was being honored. And then the rest of us who attended, it was a Title IV funding out of ESSA. So no taxpayer funds were used for any of those conferences, and they do have a direct result in work we're doing currently in the district. So I wanted to have the opportunity to clarify, so thank you for that opportunity to be able to clarify that for everybody. And most of our funding for professional development comes from that Title IV. For the last few years, we've had access to the CARES Act or ARP funding that Mr. Forbes and I have worked closely on, and that's certainly with our Envision Math pilot that we were able to finance and the PD that has come along with that. So again, there are sources that we use, so I do appreciate that opportunity to clarify, and it helps me to remember to make sure when I'm explaining about professional development that I include that so everybody is aware of how that is generated and the application to meet our goal of student focused and to forward those district goals. So thank you for that.
Thanks for that clarification.
Sure.
And just to clarify, so our students out of this conference, you build out where our students are helping our teachers with IT?
Yes, so first was our position of a STEM teacher, a dedicated STEM teacher at the elementary, and then from there, and visiting Lockport over 2 years, we've been able to build and create behind the scenes until it was ready to go. This year is operational with students from the high school who are trained, who have a desire to do it, they volunteer to do it, volunteer to sign out a study hall and go down there and be trained in IT, and now they are the ones who are going about the school, or people come to them for help. So yes,
That's great.
it's
That's
really
very-
exciting.
Very low cost.
Very low cost, definitely, definitely,
That's
and they've
fantastic.
had a lot of fun building and doing, and our goal is to work into more like, so if somebody needs projects, students who choose to, again, be part of this, and it's all voluntary, they can help design and do, and it's helping them to have, looking into, when they think about next steps from graduation, they have these, opportunities to be able to, showcase when they go on to a college visit, or specific questions that they're able to ask working side by side with Andy Wheelock and with Ryan Lepp, our network technician, Zach Dake, our personal computer specialist from BOCES. They're able to have conversations and learn career pathways they might otherwise know. So it's exciting.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. Thank you. All right, we anticipate the need to enter an executive session tonight to discuss matters pertaining to personnel. Can I have a motion to enter executive session?
So moved.
Mr. Kinney, a second?
Second.
Ms. Hahn, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, everyone, for coming. Have a great night. Students, you can ask any board member up here or administrator to sign your forms. So, have a good night, everybody. Except her.
I think we qualify.
Except Sam.